Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful that you're here with me today. I'm going to talk about character, and I'm going to talk about it maybe in a little different light. You know, character is the ability to carry out a worthwhile decision once the emotion of making that decision is past. Some people call that courage as well. Character and courage are somewhat synonymous in many ways. But you know, I look at it this way. I often think that too many times when we say our prayers, we're delegating to God. Please bless this meal, and maybe it's a bunch of Krispy Kreme donuts. Please bless this meal that it's going to give us nourishment and strength. But I don't think God is going to reach down, change the elements of that meal so that it strengthens us, reinforces us, and makes us healthy. It just doesn't work that way. And I believe that principles of leadership are the same way. Dear God, please help me to become a great leader. Well, if we're not eating a diet of good principles in our lives, then God isn't going to come down and all of a sudden make us a good leader. Leaders are not titles. Titles are not leaders. So how do we become great leaders? Well, we do the things that great leadership demands. And great leadership isn't something that stops at our front door. It's something that works on both sides of our front door. It becomes who we are. And many times to become great leaders, we just don't have the muscles for it. We haven't the experience for it, but yet we're demanding that we become these leaders, or we're aspiring to become leaders. Abraham Lincoln said, "Character is like a tree and reputation like a shadow. The shadow is what we think of it, and the tree is the real thing." So what is the real thing? What is our real character, and how do we develop it? Well, you know, I look at it from this standpoint. You've got practices or routines, and then you develop habits, which ultimately can develop traits, and those traits are the traits that ultimately define our character. So what are you practicing? What are you spending your time doing, and what are your muscles? What routines are you developing that ultimately are going to lead to those great characteristics of leadership? You know, to give you an example, you know, this is just a simple example, but I carry a rock in my pocket. I have carried this rock for years. I mean, for years and years and years. Now, when I first decided that carrying a rock was a good idea for me, I decided that what I would do is every day put this rock in my pocket, and then when I touched it, it would remind me of the things that I'm grateful for. So when I get up in the morning, I would see a rock and start to think about it and what I was grateful for. When I go to bed, okay, I got a rock. What am I grateful for? What I was practicing doing, reinforcing, is to create a habit. And one of the quickest ways to create a habit is to link it to an existing habit. So what I did was I linked it to my wallet. And so now I link it to my wallet. So when I get up in the morning, it's sitting on top of my wallet, and I'm able to stop and hesitate and say, okay, what am I grateful for right now? Where is my gratitude? What am I looking forward to this day? And I've done this for years. And when I come home at night and I take my wallet out and set it on the bedstand and I put my rock on top of it, it reminds me to say, okay, what am I grateful for today? And I believe that gratitude is one of the cornerstone principles of true leadership. I believe that when people are in true gratitude, then you have leadership that is true, great leadership that is sustainable over multiple years, over multiple generations. So this was the beginning for me of how this started. Well, you know, if you're not careful, you plateau and it doesn't become quite as meaningful. And I found this exceptionally helpful, and it got to the point to where it truly became, I did it for so long that it really did become a trait, you might say. Because I can remember when when I was coaching, I might be upstairs and coaching and I'll reach in my pocket and the rock isn't there, and I panic, literally panic. And I probably changed my pants because I put on the wrong pair of pants or something, took it off, and I'd already put my rock in there, put it up and hurried out, and now I didn't have it. One of my characteristic traits was missing. And so I've even taken a little break and run down into the flower beds and grabbed a rock to put it in my pocket. Well, now, so that goes from the practice to the habit to the trait, and that becomes the characteristic. Well, a year ago, or at the beginning of January, this is a new one, this is my current one, you know, I decided that I wanted to even go deeper with it, that it was important for me to go deeper with this, and so we created the Empowered Wealth Journal. And the Empowered Wealth Journal allows me to go deeper. It has a morning section and an evening section so that I can ask myself, how am I going to go big today? How do I begin this day in gratitude? What 3 things, if I didn't do anything else today, and I could do only 3 things, what would they be? What would be the most meaningful and bring the greatest results? Who am I meeting with today? What do I know and appreciate about them? And how do I want them to feel? What do I want them to know? And what do I want them to do? In other words, how do I become proactively so intentionality, bring more intentionality into my life. Create systems of repeatable routines that eventually lead to habits, that eventually leads to traits. And then finally, what's today's empowering question? An empowering question might be, can I deliver my message today in a manner that everybody leaves asking a new question? My default one is, what can I do today? Or can I be the answer to somebody's prayer today? And then as you terminate the day, then I come back in and I come back and ask 3 things that I'm grateful that I experienced today and why, and I learned. Who am I grateful for today? Did I express it? How was it expressed? If I had this day to live over again, might I do differently? In other words, how do I bank this day and improve upon it? And what is my empowering question to go to bed on? How can I engage my subconscious mind? As simple as, can I get a great night's sleep tonight? Can I wake up invigorated and excited about tomorrow? Or maybe I've got something else, but it's always positive. When I go to bed, it's always positive, never negative. And so that's my routine. Now, how do I develop that into an exercise and then a habit? Well, I piggyback it on top of my rock. So I've got my wallet, which then I bring my rock out and I say, okay, now take this out and take 5 or 10 minutes to be intentional about tomorrow. Be intentional about and capture the things from yesterday, and then in the morning to be intentional about here. Now, many times I start filling it out the night before in terms of the things that I want to get done, etc. So it kind of sparks my mind. But then what I'm grateful for is what I wake up and what's top of mind when I wake up, and I finish it off. So I'm able to tie this together. So what things do you do regularly? Brush your teeth? I mean, there's things that you do all the time that you can attack certain routines to it. Great leaders develop routines that become repeatable routines. Routines practice. They practice, and then those things become habits. Habits of great leadership, which become then traits. The character traits that define leaders. Like I said earlier, leadership is not a title. Leadership is who you are. Leadership is the traits that you develop as you continue to grow and exercise these new muscles. I appreciate your time today. And I want to make one comment too. Just because you buy this book isn't going to make you better. Just because you go out and pick up a rock is not going to make you better. Sometimes we make the mistake, say, I got to have this book and then I'm going to be better. Well, you can get this book at LeeBrower.com, but I guarantee you that just having this is not going to make you better. What's going to make you better is to develop those routines and patterns of repeatable processes that develop into traits, habits, and then traits, building your character. Okay, that's it. Have a wonderful week. Build some routines. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.